Morning, Sunday, September 15th, 2024. I'm Larissa. Oh my God. Larissa, this is my video diary. Time has come to drink from skulls. Yeah, the time has come to drink from skulls. Mm. Yeah, this new batch of tea is very tasty. Oh, it's nice, when the medicine tastes good, right? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. Often the medicine will taste good when it is the most needed, right? When it is the most soothing, when it is the most congruent and appropriate, right? Healer, heal thine self. Oh my God. So yesterday, I went down to the boardwalk. Oh, this is the best time of year to go to the boardwalk. It is. Why? Because school's back in session and there are fewer people on vacation. So you don't have as much tourist kind of traffic. It's mostly local yokels. And the weather's still nice enough that there's people out and stuff's, still going, right? In the off season, they don't have all the stuff open at the boardwalk, right? In the off season, not all the games are open all the time or whatever. The arcade's always open, right? But not the outside games and stuff. They have a couple of the major rides, like the one that goes up and down the beach, and um, I think the Ferris wheel. There's a couple of them that are on year round, but not everything is, right? Right now, everything's still open, and there's no touristy traffic, and the weather is not so hot. It was a really nice day. We had a really nice walk down the boardwalk, and the aminals, sea lions are out. There's some sea lions because all the anchovies are schooling in the bay right now, in the inlets here. Um, there was a woman saying she was seeing dolphins. I'm like, you are not seeing dolphins up here right now. No, you are not. No, no, you're not. Those are seals and sea lions, but the seal numbers are down this year. And they were saying seal numbers, or I was reading that seal numbers are down this year because of the toxic red algae blooms that have been happening. And toxic red algae blooms happen, like it's not unusual, but they were unusually large this year and affected large quantities and populations of fish. And so they saw the effects show up in seals in particular, um, because they would eat the fish and then get the toxicity from the fish because the fish ate the algae. And they can recover, like it can be treated, but it was a big deal. And part of the reason there were big issues with red algae blooms, was changing currents and temperatures and things, but also because there were sewage spills along the coast this year, and other pollution issues along the coast. Um, but they had that big sewage spill down in San Luis Obispo, and it's been affecting the whole coast, because there's a current that kind of spins up, right, from SLO up north. It's why you have so many riptides. It's why the coast, the central to the northern coast is actually quite dangerous. It's very rocky, number one, but there's huge riptides, huge riptides because of this like it's like a back current, right? Because in general, everything comes back down from Alaska and around, right? But then right at the coast, it comes up, and so there's stuff that moves that way. And anyway, saw a story that Marin has poop. There's poop on the Marin beaches. Dirty hippie poop. Dirty hippies. Dirty hippies. It's from all over the place. not just the dirty hippies. But anyway, maroon beaches, the ones that are popular, right? Like they're overrated, in my opinion. And I saw the sea lions yesterday, and there were a bunch of them. There was one big bull that was sitting out, and they were letting people go down the stairs, right? Because there were a few of them they were bathing themselves, sunbathing themselves up on it was a little boating dock, right? Because you can rent boats down there at the pier, and they'll drop you down in, um, and or you can get in on and off at this little dock. Well, this little dock that was down there was covered in sea lions, so you couldn't exactly go out there, right? And they're mean. They can't they're mean. They're not they look, like they have those cute little puppy faces. They look at cute little wet puppy faces, but they're not. They're mean. They're big mean animals. But I was telling him he was majestic. I said, "Oh, aren't you magnificent? You're so magnificent." And he was like, he started arching his back for me, and oh, you know, showed me his teeth. I said, "Oh, I come down there and give you scratches," because he took his claws. He was giving himself scratches. I said, "Oh, I can come down there and give you scratches." I said, "Look, I got fingernails too," because I got those 3 long fingernails on their back toes. I said, "I think you might bite me." I said, "You make my hand all stinky." And then he opened his mouth and went, showed me his teeth. Big old tooths. Yeah. They got these tiny little ears, tiny little faces, and tiny little bums, and these big old barrel chests. Well, big old boobies like me, I guess. I don't know. No, no, no. No. This was a bull. He didn't have boobies. He was just barrel chested. Anyway. Yeah. Saw the sea lions. There are only a couple seals, though. And usually there's more seals, but the seal populations were down this year. Not as many pups. Pups died. Pups died because of the algae bloom. Anyway. Yeah. There are all kinds of anchovies. People are trying to catch them. I don't know what it was, but there was only one family I saw that had a full net, and they had tons of. I don't know what they were doing different than the other people with the net, but they had tons of them. They had tons of them. They had like 3 coolers full of anchovies. And I said, "Are you gonna dry them?" She's like, "Oh, we're gonna dry them. We're gonna fry them." I'm like, "You're not gonna fry all of those. Geez, that's a whole lot. You're gonna dry most of them, make fish sauce and stuff with them, dry them, grind them up, put them in things." Yeah, yeah, anchovies. Anchovies. Somebody said, "Oh, the sardines." I'm like, "Those are not sardines. Far too small to be sardines. Sardines are further out. They're not usually so close. Sardines aren't usually so close up to the pier. Or anchovies, and that's what the sea lions were chawing on. Saw a couple starfish on the pier. Haven't seen a lot of starfish lately. So it was nice to see the starfish. I saw 3 of them. You used to see lots of them down there, but not anymore. The mussels on the pier are all covered with barnacles. Yeah. Yeah. So there's some homeless dude that's been messing with my front door, right? Moving things around, leaving trash, being an ass, just being a general cracked out asshole, right? And not last night, but the night before, he came up to the door, got him on camera, and he's like talking all word salad to himself. And he just, moved stuff around and then left some trash over off to the side. So I finally have this thing that showed up. It's a window mounted thing for like magazines for my literature for my magazines. I can have that out there. It's on the window now. It's window mounted, and so he can't. There's nothing for him to. He'd have to really come up, and camera would get a nice good shot of his face, right? If he comes up and he messes with that. What I saw on the camera this morning, because it's usually about like 2 o'clock. It's between. It's between. He shows up anywhere between midnight and like 3 a.m. Right? That's when he's out and about. Um, on the camera, and I saw him. He like came up. And he's like, he like walked back and forth a couple times, and he was like trying to figure out what he was going to do about that. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, dude. You have to come up and get your face on camera to fuck with that. Yeah, the homeless people that are on the streets out and about are largely drug addicts. Like, the ones that, are camped out or whatever, they're not the ones that are, traipsing up and down the street, right? Yeah. Somebody, I don't know if they're new in town or what, but we were walking down and it's like, oh, big old human shit. I can smell there's a big old pile of human shit around here somewhere. We were walking back to the car after the boardwalk. There were some bushes and we walked past. I'm like, ooh, smelled a pile of human poo there too. I mean, humans have to poop, right? I mean, that is just a fact of life. People poop. Um, but it's just like, well, where are they going to do it? I guess they're doing it in the bushes. Does Pope shit in the woods? I don't know. He went down to Papua New Guinea. Wonder if he had dinner. Pope, did you have dinner? Did you go have dinner? Did you go eat yourself a witch? Did they try to eat you? They say, oh, Popey Pope, you're the biggest witch of them all, with your flaming purse and your crazy hats. Anyway, oh, it was really funny. Not last night, the night before. Omar said something to me about, oh, I can't remember what we were talking about. He's like, oh, I'm so disappointed. And I laughed. I laughed and I said, I can see you're disappointed by the way you look at me. And I'm sorry that I'm not the woman you thought I'd be. Yeah, I've made my mistakes. But listen and understand, my mistakes are no worse than yours just because I'm a woman. So when you look at me, don't feel sorry for yourself. Just think of all the pain you might have caused somebody else. Yeah, I've made my mistakes, but listen and understand. My mistakes are no worse than yours just because I'm a woman. It's a good song. Miss Parton. Yes, it is. It's a good song. Did you write that one? Miss Dolly Parton, did you write that one? Or did somebody else write that one for you? Did you write that one? She's a good songwriter. She's written a lot of her music, not all of it. I like her cover of Shine. Yeah, her bluegrass banjo cover of Shine is really good. It is. Anyway, I need to get a lip exfoliation. My lips have been dry. Yeah, I have been. My lips have been real dry. I didn't cook yesterday. We ate out. We ate out yesterday. I didn't cook. I'll cook today. I will. And I'll get up here in a little bit. I'll make a nice brunch. I have some broccoli and some cheeses down there. And I will do a broccoli cheese egg bake. I can't call it quiche because I don't put pie crust in it. I rarely do I put pie crust in my quiches. Rarely. Very, very rarely. Just because pie crust is pastry. I made a pot pie. Was that last week? I made a vegetable pot pie last week. It was really good. That just has the top crust in a big old Corningware, right? Um, but pastry is really fattening, I mean, it's butter and flour, right? And it takes some time and some effort and don't need all that, right? Usually what I do is I dust, I grease the inside of my dish and then I dust it with chickpea flour, right? Because then it's, a legume, chickpea powder. Sometimes I use cornmeal. Sometimes I use breadcrumbs, but it's just a dusting then. It's not like a full-on crust. And sometimes I have potatoes down there. I could do a hash brown crust, right? I grate the potatoes, squeeze them out, Grate the potatoes, squeeze them out, toss them with some oil and salt, press it into the bottom of the pan, and bake that until it starts to get a little golden brown, and then put the filling in, and then bake that so that the potatoes done all the way through. Because raw potatoes kind of gross. And I'm not Scarlett O'Hara. And I shall never go hungry again. Ah, biting that potato. No, no, Miss Scarlett O'Hara, I am not. Anyway, anyway. Yeah, so the gallery looks really, 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 really good. It does. Looking forward to doing the opening and everything. I hope people formally RSVP so I know how many to prepare for. People don't like think about or they just are rude about other people's resources, right? Like, uh, so I hope people actually RSVP. Yeah, that's what the card is in there for. Let me know. Yeah. The autumn leaves drift past my window. The autumn leaves in red and gold. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. But I miss you most of all, my darling, when autumn leaves begin to fall. Watching the golden fronds fall from the redwoods yesterday. Yeah, totally. Watching those. Making more duff. Making more duff. More fluffy duff. Right? Yeah. I'm not feeling autumn leavesy. I don't know. I'm not feeling like I relate to that song right now. My grandma liked that song a whole lot. My grandma Rose loved that song. Rusha. Rusha. Miss Rutza Butza herself. Oh my goodness. She liked that song, Autumn Leaves, and then she liked that song, Barney Google, with the goo goo googly eyes. Barney Google with the goo goo googly eyes. Barney Google thought his horse would win the prize. But the first that she used to always sing was Barney Google with the goo goo googly eyes. Barney Google had a wife 3 times his size. She sued Barney for divorce. Now he's living with his horse. Barney Google with his goo goo googly eyes. Mm, silly song. Silly, silly song. Ridiculous. Hmm. Anyway, old music. Old music. You know, that song my pappers used to sing to me. You know, when you're sad, no, you're my little baby, you're my little girl, you're my little lady, the treasure of my world. When you're sad and tired and you begin to cry, that's when I will sing you my special lullaby. Aïe aïe aïe, Claude qui doit, Sarzeburi au bédois. Aïe aïe, ta tutsi, trou la lou la lou. Mm-hmm. There's like a bazillion verses. There's like a bazillion verses to it. Yeah. Yeah. That's one he would sing to me. And then he'd make trumpet sounds. He didn't have his trumpet anymore. He would just make some trumpet sounds. I think it's terrible what people did to him. I understand why he was. I said he had a terrible sense of humor. He had kind of a mean sense of humor. And like I understand where it came from, right? Like he was denied his music career, right? He was denied his music career. It was stolen from him. And, community and family forced upon him to not play anymore. And that killed a part of him. My family's mean like that. They are. They're just mean like that, right? Nobody in my family likes to see anybody else really truly get ahead. You can't be any more ahead than anybody else, right? There's pettiness. And so, like, I understand where my grandfather's mean sense of humor came from. Music was really hard for him, and the stuff that he did listen to was music that generally got on other people's nerves. And I understand why he did that. It's like when I sing the mariachi music, um, it's specifically to annoy people around me. I enjoy it, but I know a lot of people don't enjoy it. And so I sing it to bother them because I feel like I've been cheated out of, my space and time to sing. And I'm not a bad singer, right? I didn't drop out of high school and marry a drug dealer and, you know, traipse around the world half dressed claiming to be a role model for young women. Oh, sure, I've done nude work, but that's totally different. It's a totally different thing. Nudity and art and fucking gratuitous trashiness like what Beyonce puts out there and any of the rest of them for that matter, right? But her in particular, she disgusts me. She disgusts me. Being held up as a role model for particularly young women in impoverished situations. Oh yeah, that's a great role model. Hold that up. Hold that up. Yeah. Given an honorary degree at Harvard, I'm sure, for sucking dick. I'm sure there was some favor that was garnered to Mr. Barack Obama for that one, right? When she hadn't even finished her GED. It wasn't until after the fact, after she got her honorary Harvard diploma, she went back and got a GED. And I question whether she actually did the goddamn work or if they were just like, oh, it's Beyonce. We're going to give it to her. School of Hard Knocks. Oh, you did it. Way to go. You go, girl. Get down with your bad self. Say her name. Say her name. I mean, she just really grosses me out. She really, really grosses me out in so many ways, for so many reasons. It's like, go ahead, make your art, do what you're going to do. I mean, she steals a lot. She steals. She's a thief, too. She steals intellectual property left and right. But it's like, don't then try to sell me some fucking sanitized version of yourself as somebody that little girls should want to be. And I feel the same way about Taylor Swift, right? I mean, I'm sure she has her high school diploma and all that garbage, but the music that she has written has all been at the expense of flippant romantic relationships with men that she throws away like garbage, right? I just Sorry, not sorry. And then, middle class families hand over money, hand over fist to go take their little girls to go see this spectacle of shallowness. It's disheartening. Really, truly disheartening. Mira cómo ando, mi amor, por tu querer, borracho y apasionado no más por tu amor. Mira cómo ando, mi bien, muy dado a la borrachera y a la perdición. Tú, solo tú. Yeah, that's a good one. I also like. Hay unos ojos que si me miran, hacen que mi alma tiemble de amor. Son unos ojos tan primorosos. Yeah. Hasta más lindos no he visto yo. Hay quien pudiera mirarse en ellos. Hay quien pudiera besarlos más, gozando siempre de sus destellos. Yeah. Ya no me cantes cigarra, que acabe tu sonsonete y tú canta aquí en el alma como un puñal sumamente, sabiendo que cuando cantas, pregonando vas tu muerte. Marinero, marinero, dime si es verdad que sabe, porque distinguir no puedo. Si el fondo de los mares hay otro color más negro que el color de mis pesares. Hi, la 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 la. Yeah, except when I sing it to annoy my neighbor across the street. It's when I unzip. I'm like, listen to this. That's no oye como va, you know? Oh, anyway. Anyway, I don't know what I'm gonna make for dinner tonight. I don't know. We had pizza last night because we hadn't had pizza in a long time, and I wanted to try pizza down at this restaurant that's down the street from us now, down the street from the gallery, the new space, and it was good, but it keeps me from wanting to make spaghettis tonight. I got a whole bunch of tomatoes down there that I could cut up and make like a fresh pomodoro fresco, you know. I don't have any fresh basil though. I got a whole bunch of fresh oregano outside I could go pick though. Yeah, I could do caramelized shallots, and garlic, and then the fresh tomato. I could do that. I think I got a nice red wine down there too. Although I don't think it's Italian. The red wine I have down there might be Spanish. Might be a Tempranillo. It might be. I have to look at it. If it's a Pinot or even a Petit Verdot, because it might be because I love Petit Verdot, I could use that. But I don't. Tempranillo needs peppers. I could do peppers. I have some sweet peppers down there. I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. But I told Omar I'd cook today. I did. You and your rubber gloves. Here, hold on, let me chug this.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
This new batch is much better tasting.
Is it?
Hey, Mr. Barfy. Leave him in here. He can stay in here. Hey, Pucosaurus. Midnight Pucosaurus. Hey, you. Midnight Pucosaurus. He was a Midnight Pucosaurus. It was after midnight. Like maybe around 1 o'clock. No, it was later than that. When were you puking on the floor? What time was that? Was that like 2:30? It's like 2:30 when you puked on the floor? Did you eat cat food last night? Did you eat cat food? Daddy says it looked like you ate Sassy's food. You know, there's stuff in the cat food that doggies aren't supposed to have. You're not supposed to be eating that shit, and you're getting older. You're getting older, and you don't have an iron tummy. You don't, Mister. Turn your back on Mummy when Mummy's telling you the truth. Hey, look at me, Mister. I'm gonna throw my flip flop at you. Throw my hooduki at you. Hey. Yeah, that's what I thought, Mister. No more eating the cat food. He says, "Don't throw your hooduki, Mama." Anyway, so yeah, he like was Pucosaurus, and it was funny. Funny, like, isn't that odd? Or isn't that, because I'm gonna have coffee now. Ooh. Oh, that tastes like the, what is it called? The Ethiopian one that begins with an S. Sadamo. It tastes like Sadamo. Oh, I had a glass of wine last night with my pizza. It was from the area around Vesuvius because it had, she said, it was a red wine. She told me what it was called. It was called Christi something. But it was very minerally tasting. And I love that. I love minerally floral wines, light minerally, no sweetness, floral wines. I like that. It was really good. It was like, no, it wasn't deep like the Negro Maro. It was deep. It was light and complex. Like there was a Nebbiolo that I tasted a long time ago. I really like Nebbiolo. Anyway, going back to Brody being a Pucosaurus. Pucosaurus puked on the floor twice. No, I'm glad you did on the floor, not on the carpet or not on the bed, not on your Brody furniture. You did it on the floor. But I was having this dream, and in this dream, I was at Los Gilicos. That's the children's prison that I did the program at with the girls. They house boys there too. They also house foster kids. I'll talk about that too. Not just Los Gilicos, all of juvenile justice centers, but we'll get to that. The dream. So in the dream, that's where I was at. That was the environment around me, except that in the dream it wasn't Los Gilicos. It was just like a police station, right? Like it wasn't. Anyway, and I'm talking to this cop, and I'm telling him about when Jason Huber held me hostage, and I'm telling him about the time that there was blood dumped all over my house and why I thought it was him. I'm telling him the story like about the barbecue, that he was mad that I didn't want to go to this barbecue, and because they had a whole animal, and he was designated pit master for the barbecue, and so he had access to blood because they bled the animal, right? The animal was freshly slaughtered and they had bled the animal, so he had access to blood that day. And he was telling me, because he was telling me all the stuff that he was going to do with the blood, with the for cooking, like sauces and things, and because there's things you can do with blood. You can make blood sausage and all kinds of things. He was talking about like what he was going to do with all this, and it was like it was bison. It wasn't just cow. They had bison. It was a bison, I think. And they got it at the county fair. They bought it at the county fair. Anyway, he had access to all this blood. And so I'm telling the cop about this, and that there was blood all over my house. And this cop is telling me, he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, well, I'm going to make sure that when we take him down, that I get to him first, and then he and I are going to have a conversation. That's what this cop is telling me in the dream as I'm telling him this story. And as this cop is telling me this, Brody in real life in the bedroom starts puking. And I wake up. I'm like, it's weird when I'm having the lucid dreams. It's like I'm aware that I'm dreaming and I'm aware that I'm asleep, right? And it's deep. Like I have to be in a deep sleep, but I'm also very aware of the room and where my body physically is. It's like this strange dual location that happens. Like, I am aware and conscious of my physical body being in my whatever space I'm in, and then my ethereal body being in this lucid space, right? So, you know, the sounds of him vomiting intruded into the dream space, and I woke up. Um, so it was just interesting that's when he chose to puke while I was. It's like there was a judgment that was happening. It was interesting. It was interesting. I've had a couple lucid dreams recently. That's not the only one I had this morning. A few nights ago, I had one where I was so Japanese dining sometimes has like these little individual kiosks, right? Where you can dine by yourself in this little individual kiosk that's kind of closed off. It's like a cubicle almost. So I was like in one of those, except the open side that usually opens into a kitchen or a service area, right, where they serve, there was another like dining cubicle on the other side. Almost like when you go in to visit in prison and there's like cubicle across, except there was no glass in between me and the person that was on the other side. And the person that was on the other side that I was sharing a meal with was Megan Markle, who I can't stand. She's up there with all of the other self-righteous, pompous, out-of-touch hypocrites in the media, in my book. I think she's a moron and horrible for women's rights. But I will let that go for now. I had a lucid dream. She and I were having a meal, and my family was sitting at a table that was like off to the left, but they were at a table all together, and we were in these. There were like there was this row of cubicles, and there were all these other people. It was like that were sharing meals with each other privately, and like I'm trying to talk to her about something, and I don't remember exactly what it was that I was talking to her about, but I was trying to have like a normal conversation, and was like having she was like having a conversation with my family. Like the words that she was saying kind of related to what it was that I was saying to her, but it was like she was responding to me, to my family, and it was like this really like fake facade, and she was like fake smiling and laugh pretending we were having this great time. And I'm just like, you don't need to do that. I kept telling her, you don't need to do that. You can just I said, we can just have a conversation here. You don't have, this isn't for cameras. That's what I'm telling him. Like, we're not on camera here. That's what I was saying to her in this dream. That was a really odd one. And then, Omar's, uh, alarm went off on his phone. And so I guess that was about 4:30, 4:15, 4:30 when his alarm goes off in the morning. Yeah. So I had that. That was last week. Anyway, what I was saying about, the juvenile justice centers, the children's prisons, at least in California, this is the way it is. I can't speak for other states in the union because I don't know for sure. But in California, for the foster adopt system, I've talked before about um, why we never adopted. Can't afford private adoption, and you also can't really trust private adoption, right? Particularly if it's not like super, super high end. But even if it's super, super high end where you're spending lots and lots of money, you can't always guarantee that children haven't been stolen, right? Especially when you're going overseas to adopt children. So, like, the best way to do it is to go through whatever your local foster adopt system is in your state. But in California, the laws are fucked up. They're super racist. Like, they really, really are. And the system reinforces gang activity, right? And gang proliferation because of the way that the laws are set up. So as a result, there is a ballooning, in particular in California, of kids that are in the system that don't have housing, right? And there people who generally, or not all people, but there's a large population of people who work the foster adopt system and make money off of it because you get kids. When you get kids, you get a stipend, you get a state stipend, right? And a lot of people do it just for that state stipend, right? And don't necessarily take care of the kids. well, right? Or treat them as family or whatever. And when you foster, you don't have to adopt, right? You can if the kid wants to adopt, or if they're under a certain age, you can adopt them without their consent. But once a kid's over a certain age, I think it's over 12. I think once the kid's over 11 or 12 years old, they have to consent to be adopted, right? And they have to be placed with you for a certain amount of time before that can go through, and the way that the process goes and everything. But they have more kids than what they have appropriate housing for, right? So what do they do with the kids? They put them in the children's jails. Yeah. So, those facilities house criminal children, children who have committed criminal acts, as well as kids that have done nothing other than be born, right? Huge populations of children, right? Yeah. 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 That's the way it is. And then when they age out at 18, there's like no support system at all. Yeah. Yeah. They tried to recruit me. I tried to volunteer for CASA. I did. I did. That was like after I did the program at the detention center, I tried to volunteer for CASA. They tried to coerce me to adopt, or to get into the foster adopt system, and I didn't want to do it because I'd taken the class and I didn't want anything to do with that program. And I tried at that time then to volunteer for CASA, court appointed special advocates for children, and they wouldn't let me do it. Well, after they couldn't coerce me, after a number of years, after they couldn't coerce me to, get into the foster adopt system, eh, then they started to try to recruit me for CASA. And then by that point, I'm like, no, I don't want anything to do with any of this. Yeah, it took a while. Casa hounded me for a number of years. It's probably been about 3 years since I've heard anything from them. But there for a while, they were really hounding me hard. I was getting stuff from them left and right. They were sending me literature, sending me letters in the mail. Yeah, like every month. On one hand, I feel bad, but um, you have to protect yourself. And um, California system is just really, really messed up. So they focus, when you take the class revolves largely around learning about, I mean, you learn about the laws and the way the system works, right? Like the process that you have to go through with the forms and all that stuff. But then the class itself is about attachment disorder, right? Because all children, regardless of what age they are when they are put into the foster adopt system, even newborn babies, right? All exhibit to some extent attachment disorder. As a rule, all of them do. And there's been a lot of studies on it and everything. And so they talk about the class is about attachment disorder and treating attachment disorder. And there's two sides to it. So they said that some states are different. So, but California has opted for legislating that it is mandatory that any blood relative that the court deems safe for the child that has been in the system to have um, contact with. So unless like a kid's has no known family and can't be identified, all children from the foster adopt system, regardless of what age they entered the foster adopt system and are adopted or out, they know they're adopted, right? They know that. And I just wasn't comfortable with that. I wasn't comfortable with that because I had already worked with kids in the system and had an understanding of the demographic of children that were mostly in the system, right? It's not well adjusted kids that end up in the foster adopt system. It's kids that are coming out of families that have, drug addiction, crime, gang affiliation. And in California, largely it's gang affiliation, right? And the gangs are sneaky, So they place a kid a kid either through fostering or adoption with a family that doesn't have these affiliations, and the family is then forced to allow that child to have contact with blood family member who is still exposed to the gang situation, right? Even if it's like, oh, this is auntie or grandma, and they're not the ones that are actively in the gang, right? They are still able to be contacted, right? So it's like third party contacting of the child. And frequently there's extortion that happens, right? And I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in being extorted. Because that's the way it works here in California. And that's why there's a glutton of children in the foster adopt system without homes that they have to house in the children's prisons for no other reason other than being born, right? Yeah. I'm sure it's the same way in Texas too. I'm sure. Texas is one of the only states in the nation that has schools that are worse than California. What is it? It's California, Texas, New Mexico have some of the worst schools. Tennessee, Alabama these states have some of the worst schools in the nation. Yeah. Yeah, my aunt, who was a nun, she was an HIV nurse in Mobile, Alabama. She worked with HIV positive population, mostly single mothers. I don't know why Alabama has so much AIDS, but they do. Hi.
Hey. Ready.
Pucosaurus.
Mr. Catfood Beaker.
He wants to give you kisses.
I have
what do you have for him?
Flea and tick treat.
Flea and tick treat. Mmm, yum.
Fleas and ticks. Delicious.
It must be. Look at him. He's like, I want it. Gotta have it. Give it to me now.
There you go, Birdie.
Nom, 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 nom.
Tasty.
Are you chewing it?
He likes chewing it.
He does like chewing it. He's not just chewing, he's tasting. He's like, it must taste good.
It does.
I wonder what it tastes good. I wonder if is it rat flavored? Is it cat food flavored? You better eat all the little crumbs, and you better not puke that up tonight or later.
He does eat all the little crumbs. That's how I know it tastes good. It's like, ooh. Flea and tick treat.
Flea and tick, delicious. What do you want for dinner tonight? I'm gonna give you. Let me tell you the things I have. So I'm gonna make some sort of egg bake for brunch. It's probably gonna be broccoli and cheese, and then I have peppers and mushrooms.
You're gonna make an egg bake for brunch today?
Yeah.
We also have pizza.
I have 2 pieces. I ate 1 piece when I came home last night.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can eat that as a snack whenever.
Mm-hmm. You
can eat your pizza as a snack whenever. But I gotta cook something. I was gonna make that sardine salad for you to have for lunch during the week on sandwiches. At least for a couple days. I'll make some sardine salad, so I gotta make some hard-boiled eggs too. But I got peppers down there, and we had pizza last night, so I don't know if I'm up for spaghetti, but I was kind of thinking I wanted spaghetti. I have a head of radicchio down there. I could do a radicchio coleslaw. I also have spaghetti squash.
Mm-hmm.
Could do baked spaghetti squash with fried peppers and falafel.
Ooh, that sounds good.
You want to have that for dinner?
Yes.
We could do that on the barbecue. We could actually barbecue tonight.
Okay.
Because the spaghetti squash is good baked on the...
Mm-hmm.
All right. Instead of spaghetti, we'll have spaghetti squash. And then I'll save those tomatoes and do a fresh pomodoro sauce later
In the week?
in the week
That sounds
with the
good.
radicchio salad. Does that sound radicchio to you?
It does.
We'll do a radicchio walnut salad. Yeah.
What a nice Brody.
Oh, is he a good boy?
Yes, he
Is Brody a good boy? Are you a good boy, Pucosaurus? He says, stop calling me that.
Brody, you can go toss the ball in the second here.
Brody, are you gonna go with mommy today? What? I think you might for a little bit. Are you handsomest boy?
What about Brody?
Oh, you handsomest boy? You looking in the mirror now? Are you handsomest boy? So handsome. So handsome. Handsomest boy in the world. Handsomest. So handsome. Anyway, yeah. That's what I'm thinking about today.